Star Wars, the Sith Academy Infiltration. The dark side hung like a palpable shroud over the Sith Academy on the desolate planet of Korriban. Its jagged spires and ominous architecture seemed to reach out like gnarled fingers to ensnare anyone who dared to enter. Among those audacious few was a spy, a Jedi operative named Selene, whose mission was to infiltrate the Academy and uncover a sinister plot that threatened the fragile peace in the galaxy. Selene had spent weeks perfecting her cover story. She posed as an ambitious young Sith initiate named Darth Viridia, her true identity hidden beneath layers of deception and illusion. With a red lightsaber hilt dangling from her belt and a face obscured by a dark hood, she blended seamlessly into the Academy's student body. The training sessions within the Sith Academy were grueling, designed to test the limits of an initiate's physical and mental endurance. Each day began with a pre-dawn march to the training grounds, where the oppressive heat of Korriban's sun bore down on the assembled initiates. The harsh sun, however, was nothing compared to the merciless scrutiny of the Sith instructors. Under the merciless gaze of instructors like Darth Zythor, Selene and her fellow initiates were subjected to relentless combat drills. The instructors demanded perfection in lightsaber combat, pushing them to their limits and beyond. They sparred in dusty dueling arenas, their blades clashing in a symphony of sparks and fury. Every mistake was met with harsh criticism, often accompanied by a painful jolt of Force lightning. In addition to combat training, initiates were required to study the ancient Sith texts and doctrines. Selene would spend long, solitary hours in the dimly lit archives, poring over dusty tomes that exuded malevolent energy. The words within these texts were designed to corrupt the mind and erode the moral compass, and Selene had to tread carefully, pretending to absorb the teachings while secretly resisting their seductive pull. As days turned into weeks, Selene found herself walking a dangerous tightrope. She had to embrace the dark side enough to maintain her cover, but not so much that it consumed her completely. She witnessed the gradual transformation of her fellow initiates as ambition and ruthlessness took hold, and compassion and empathy withered away. The pressure was unrelenting, and Selene's nights were often plagued by nightmares. She wrestled with the moral quandary of her mission. How far was she willing to go in her deception to protect the galaxy from the impending Sith threat? The weight of her double life bore heavily upon her, and she feared that she might lose herself in the darkness she was pretending to embrace. Despite the immense challenges, Selene forged alliances with other initiates, whispering false confidences and lies to earn their trust. These friendships were built on deceit, but they were essential to maintain her cover and gather information about the Sith Lord's plans. One fateful night, while enduring a particularly brutal lightsaber sparring session, Selene overheard a conversation that sent chills down her spine. Two Sith Lords, Darth Malvor and Darth Seraphis, spoke in hushed tones about a plan that would shake the galaxy to its core. Selene knew she had to act swiftly. With the help of her newfound allies, she began to piece together the puzzle, leading her deep into the heart of the Sith Academy and the dark secrets that lay hidden there. The Academy's treacherous path was fraught with peril, but Selene was determined to see her mission through. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and she could not afford to falter now. As Selene's infiltration of the Sith Academy continued, she found herself walking a perilous tightrope between her Jedi identity and the persona she had adopted as Darth Viridia. The pressure to maintain her cover was unrelenting, and as days turned into weeks, the seductive pull of the dark side began to take its toll on her. During her training sessions, Selene was pushed to harness the dark side of the Force with increasing intensity. Instructors like Darth Zythor urged her to tap into her anger, fear, and hatred, using them as sources of power. At first, Selene resisted, drawing upon her Jedi training to find balance. But the constant barrage of Sith teachings began to erode her resolve. One fateful afternoon, as she dueled with another Sith initiate in the sweltering dueling arena, something within her snapped. Frustration and exhaustion overwhelmed her, and she felt an uncharacteristic surge of anger. In that moment, as her adversary taunted her, Selene unleashed a torrent of dark energy, hurling her opponent to the ground with the Force. The applause of the watching Sith instructors and initiates washed over her, and for the first time, Selene felt a rush of exhilaration. She had tapped into the dark side, and the power it offered was intoxicating. From that moment on, her journey down the path of deception became a perilous descent into the abyss of the dark side. As Selene continued to embrace her newfound power, her personality began to change. She grew more ruthless, unflinching in her pursuit of Sith teachings. She no longer questioned the brutal methods of her instructors or the dark rituals she was made to perform. Her compassion and empathy, once the hallmarks of her Jedi training, withered away, replaced by a cold and calculating demeanor. Her fellow initiates noticed the change in her. She became known as one of the most ambitious and ruthless among them, someone not to be crossed. Her alliances, once formed out of necessity, now served her own dark ambitions. She began to secretly manipulate her allies, using their loyalty to further her own goals. Even her appearance began to reflect her descent into the dark side. Her eyes, once bright and full of hope, took on a sinister yellow hue. Her skin seemed paler, and a faint aura of dark energy clung to her like a shadow. She wore her red lightsaber hilt with pride, a symbol of her allegiance to the Sith. But as Selene grew more entangled in the dark side's embrace, her nights were tormented by nightmares. She saw visions of destruction and chaos, and she knew that the power she wielded was corrupting her soul. The weight of her double life bore heavily upon her, and she feared that she had strayed too far from the path of the Jedi to ever return. Yet, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope remained. Selene knew that she had to see her mission through to the end. The fate of the galaxy still hung in the balance, and only by unraveling the Sith Lord's sinister plot could she hope to redeem herself and the galaxy from the grip of the dark side. As Selene's descent into the dark side continued, the line between her true identity as a Jedi and her false persona as Darth Viridia blurred further with each passing day. She became a master of deception, adept at concealing her inner turmoil behind a facade of unwavering loyalty to the Sith cause. Within the Sith Academy, Selene's reputation as a ruthless and ambitious initiate continued to grow. She was assigned increasingly dangerous missions by the Sith instructors, who praised her for her willingness to embrace the darkest aspects of the Force. Her lightsaber skills became formidable, and her command of the dark side's power was unmatched among her fellow initiates. However, despite her outward success, Selene's nights were plagued by torment. Dark dreams and haunting visions of devastation filled her sleep. She saw herself wielding unimaginable power, destroying planets and unleashing chaos upon the galaxy. The weight of her deception and the atrocities she committed in the name of her mission gnawed at her conscience. One fateful night, as she delved deeper into the Sith archives, Selene stumbled upon an ancient Sith holocron that emitted an aura of malevolence. She hesitated, knowing the danger it posed to her fragile state of mind, but the allure of its forbidden knowledge was irresistible. With trembling hands, she activated the holocron. The Sith holocron's dark energy surged through Selene, filling her with forbidden knowledge and tempting her with promises of greater power. It whispered dark secrets and ancient rituals, offering her the means to achieve her objectives. Selene's inner struggle reached a breaking point as she grappled with the temptation to fully embrace the dark side. Yet, even in the depths of her turmoil, Selene held on to a sliver of hope. She recalled her true mission: to uncover the Sith Lord's sinister plot and prevent the galaxy from plunging into darkness. The fate of countless lives rested on her shoulders, and she knew that she had to resist the seductive pull of the dark side to see her mission through. With newfound determination, Selene closed the holocron, cutting off its corrupting influence. She had come to realize that embracing the dark side was not the path to victory. Instead, it was the strength of her Jedi training, the values of compassion, selflessness, and the pursuit of justice that would ultimately lead her to success. Over time, Selene began to subtly undermine the Sith Lord's plans from within, using her knowledge of their intentions to thwart their schemes. She quietly shared vital information with her allies, carefully ensuring that her true identity remained hidden. became a delicate balancing act as she continued to perform acts of cruelty and deception to maintain her cover while secretly working to dismantle the Sith's ambitions. As the tension within the Sith Academy grew, the Sith Lord's trust in Selene deepened. She had become one of their most valued initiates, someone they believed would be instrumental in carrying out their nefarious plans. Little did they know that their trusted protege was, in fact, a Jedi operative dedicated to preventing the galaxy from falling into darkness. Selene's path was fraught with peril and inner conflict, but she remained resolute in her mission. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and she would stop at nothing to ensure that the Sith Lord's sinister plot was foiled, even if it meant walking the razor's edge between the light and the dark. As Selene continued her dangerous double life within the Sith Academy, the pressure of maintaining her cover and resisting the allure of the dark side grew increasingly intense. The Sith Lord's trust in her deepened, and her role in their sinister plans became more central. Yet, with each passing day, the weight of her deception and the moral compromises she had made weighed heavily on her soul. Inside the Academy's oppressive walls, Selene was privy to chilling conversations among the Sith instructors and fellow initiates. She learned more about the Sith Lord's plot to resurrect the ancient Sith superweapon, a fleet of warships capable of decimating entire star systems. The urgency of her mission had never been clearer. Selene's allies among the initiates proved invaluable as she sought to unravel the Sith Lord's plans. They discreetly exchanged coded messages and shared intelligence, all while maintaining the facade of loyal Sith acolytes. Selene was filled with gratitude for these unlikely allies, whose trust she had earned through a complex web of deception. One night, as Selene roamed the shadowy corridors of the Academy, she overheard a conversation that sent shivers down her spine. It was a chilling revelation. The Sith Lords had discovered her allies' subterfuge and were closing in on them. Time was running out, and Selene knew that she had to act swiftly to save her comrades. She clandestinely gathered her allies in a dimly lit chamber deep within the Academy. There, in hushed tones, they devised a daring plan to extract the compromised initiates and gather the crucial information needed to thwart the Sith Lord's plot. It was a perilous undertaking that would push Selene's skills and resolve to the limit. The extraction operation was fraught with danger. Selene and her allies faced fierce opposition from Sith acolytes and formidable Sith Lords as they navigated the treacherous corridors and passages of the Academy. Lightsabers clashed, blaster bolts sizzled through the air, and the dark side's power crackled ominously. In the heart of the Sith Academy, the final confrontation took place. Selene, alongside her allies, stood face to face with Darth Malvor and Darth Seraphis, the architects of the sinister plot. The room crackled with tension as they engaged in a battle of words and lightsabers. It was a moment of reckoning, and Selene knew that her true identity as a Jedi operative teetered on the brink of exposure. With a surge of determination, she revealed the evidence of the Sith Lord's treacherous plot, backed by the testimonies of her fellow initiates who had seen through the darkness and yearned for redemption. The Sith Lord's trust in Selene had blinded them to the truth, and they had underestimated the strength of her allies and the resilience of the light side within her. In a climactic showdown, the Sith Lords were defeated, and the superweapons activation codes were secured, preventing catastrophe in the galaxy. As the Sith Academy fell into chaos, Selene and her allies made their daring escape, their mission to protect the galaxy from the Sith's destructive ambitions successfully accomplished. However, the price of her infiltration was immeasurable. Selene had walked the precipice between the light and the dark, and the scars of her deception would linger. She knew that her journey was far from over. The struggle to find her way back to the light would be arduous, but she remained resolute. The galaxy's future hung in the balance, and she was determined to continue her path as a Jedi, dedicated to restoring peace and justice to a galaxy that had narrowly escaped the clutches of darkness.